Hi, everyone. I'm thinking about the experiences of being gaslit by a therapist. And yep, happened. And the idea that we not only are gaslit by our therapist, but sometimes we send our children to therapy in hopes that maybe the therapist will help them to navigate the experiences with their other parent, the coercive controller. And oftentimes therapists minimize it or attempt to repair that relationship when actually there's no room for repairing it. There's just no room for that when someone has been so horrifyingly abusive. The system doesn't really notice it. And so I am like wanting to empathize with everybody. I get the gaslighting. I am a therapist. I definitely was gaslit by therapists. And I definitely know that there were therapists who saw my children who minimized the experiences of my children. I was more oh, well, mom says it's a huge problem. Yeah, because it was a huge problem. Yeah, because therapy needed to address it specifically as a harmful behavior by the dad, and therapists were not doing that. So I feel like there's a level of ignorance. There's also perhaps some ego in there where, and when I say ego, I mean like, too much ego that I can't admit that maybe I don't actually get something. I think if you haven't lived the experience, it's super hard to actually conceptualize the experiences of victims. And that means no offense to all the great people doing work who maybe haven't lived the experience. But the reality is living this. And I always kind of go back to, again, like then the third thing is maybe fair. Like as a therapist, I'm afraid to say what is really going on because there's a lot of repercussions for doing that. There's, implications in court. There's implications by an abuser who, I certainly know that, in fact, my ex did threaten therapists that they would lose their license. So therapists do have that to be afraid of. But for me, it doesn't ever excuse doing the right thing by the children and by a victim. So I think it's really important to understand that gaslighting occurs in so many aspects of our life, and that when we are diminished again by systems, whether it's again a therapeutic relationship or a school or our work or friends, however we're diminished, certainly diminished by family court in the judicial system and the criminal court, when that occurs, it's a significant betrayal. The betrayal is compound now, and a lot of therapists don't use the word compound betrayal or compound trauma, but I do. It's not only complex, but it's also one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. It feels very compound. And so these children who are then maybe going to a therapist, and the therapist is like, well, your dad loves you. Bullshit. Dad does not love you. And seriously, why would you be saying that after someone was abusive? And, the reality is that even with the violent incident model occurring in some of these coercively controlling relationships, children's reactions to these experiences are still being diminished, which is just unbelievable. Why is it that we believe that if someone has harmed the adult victim in such a significant way, that they wouldn't do the same to the child, or that that person is appropriate to be around the child? There is not a clear understanding of the pathology, or as I say, the characterological traits of these disordered individuals. And they are disordered and they are bad, and they don't deserve to be around children. I don't care if it's their own children. So anyway, just a little rant by me. I hope you're having a great day. Bye.